Greatness in the kingdom is not for big men, it's for servants. Even Jesus was the servant of all servants. He says, I wash your leg. I'm giving you a sign that if you want to go up, you will come down. He that must be the greatest must first of all be your servant. The story of Nehemiah was a story of a man in the land of Shushan, and Nehemiah was the cupbearer of the most powerful king then in the Persian kingdom. First thing you must understand about Nehemiah was that he was a servant. There are so many things God will not do with many people because they are not servants. You will first become a servant before you be a master. Nehemiah was the king cupbearer. Nehemiah was serving the greatest king in the world. That's the highest privilege you might have. But as a servant, you are not permitted to be upset before that king. All you live for is to make the king happy. Do you remember even Esther had to take permission to come before the husband? So the man was a servant. All he does with his life is to ensure that the king is pleased, the king is happy. So when God was looking for who will I use to steward something, he says that guy that understands what it means to serve is the best. The first key to entering into this multiplication, that finally becoming that prophecy they said you will be, is that you must be a servant. You will spend in that area until there is nothing to give again. It was God that taught me that this apostle Paul that you call the apostle, for 10 years Paul was teaching as a teacher, not an apostle. What you read as Paul's missionary journey was when God now finally commissioned him in Acts 13. But before Acts 13, Paul was lost in his village. He was doing this thing I'm doing now. No recognition, no honorarium, no title. God says for 10 years, do it. So you will serve for years in that area. You said your calling is a kingdom financier. You will give until giving will be the cheapest thing for you in this life. You said your own is I'm a global worshiper and you've not started. It's not worshiping on pulpit. You will worship God in your room until you will smell of worship. You said your own is prophecy. You will so prophesy until people will say we don't need your prophecy again. You can't keep quiet. The thing will be forming like an air. If you've ever operated in prophetic. Until you now say, excuse me, sir, because holy men of old spake as they were moved by the Spirit. Any area God wants to use you, you will spend and lavish on that part for years until you come to the end of yourself. God will now say, shall we begin? When Apostle Solomon said that he taught for years, and one night God now says, you can teach now. I say, wait. So, 10 years in ministry, what am I doing? That thing is noise. It's when the Holy Ghost says you can do it now that he will put his hand on it. You can be bragging and the Holy Ghost have not endorsed it. So you will spend for God for years. For Nehemiah, he has stood before a king, serving for years. God says this man can do well for us. It's not microwave process. It takes time. So after he heard from his brothers that came from Jerusalem that the walls were falling, to show you that he was a true servant, he picked a body. And for 4 months, the man was fasting and praying. And a true servant does not tell God when to do it. He surrenders and says, any day you do it, I'm fine. The gap between Nehemiah chapter 1 and chapter 2 is 4 months gap, theologically. So after he received the burden, God will first give you a burden. I want to use you to sponsor the gospel. We don't know the gap between when you heard it and when you will manifest. Your own can be 25 years. For Moses, according to Acts chapter 7, it was 40 good years. From the time he began to pick that he's the deliverer, that he even said, don't you know I'm the one? And 40 years, no sign from heaven. Death has to take place. And notice all of these men, they were all servants. David, a shepherd. Moses, a shepherd. Nehemiah, a servant. Greatness in the kingdom is not for big men, it's for servants. Even Jesus was the servant of all servants. He says, I wash your leg. I'm giving you a sign that if you want to go up, you will come down. He that must be the greatest must first of all be your servant. It's not you give small money, then you are waiting for pastor's special call to say, yes, we just received your 200k. Yes, you now say, we are just starting, pastor. God will look at this one and say, this one don't know what's up. Is it that they did not see when I send the money to their account? So they cannot even say ordinarily thank you. But you said I'm the kingdom financier. You failed the test. If mercy is on your side, they will recalibrate and start afresh. From stage 1, you start from 0 again. Heart test. Do it without pain. Will you do it with joy? Knowing that I'm in service for the king. It's even a privilege that I can serve you at. David said, who are we that we can give you? The heart of a servant. You own all. How can we give you God? Thank you that we can give you. Have you given testimony for giving God? Your own testimony is that I give God. And nobody like me can give God. We think God should worship us for giving him, or that God is owing us. You know, some people stop coming. The pastor said, if I give, I will be blessed. I have not been blessed to fake pastor. You know, they think God must respond. God is a king. He doesn't respond. He responds when he wants. And if he doesn't respond, you can't move him. He's not a demon and deity you can send. Say we send God. You can send him. And he can decide not to use you after the whole process. And heaven will not fall. He once told me, if you will not do it, I have have like 7,000 waiting. So once he come to you, be running, lose sleep and start, how do I do it? Many are waiting. Elijah said it's only me. God said, what are you saying? Men, they cave. So in case God is trying to use you for something, you think you are too important. You've not seen men, they are coming. It's a privilege that he can come to you and say, work for me. Abraham, move for me. Isaac, go for me. Paul, go for me.